What's going on, guys? It's Cimo. It's another Saturday, which means another collaborative discussion with Mkohl40 himself. This week, we're going to be discussing the secondary market and whether people think it's a good thing that we have a secondary market or a bad thing, because it's a very contentious point of discussion, and I think it made for a really good discussion overall. So guys, sit back, relax. Part 1's on his channel if you want to start at the beginning. Part 2's right here. You can just listen to that as well. Thank you guys so much, and I hope you enjoy.
An excellent example of a card that's been reprinted to death that sucks, though, is Doom Caliber Knight.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it had its time.
I know it had its time, but he has so many printings. Like, what the fuck? Konami was like, open up the vault, guys. We need to reprint something. And they just see the stack of Doom Cals. They're like, we can throw a couple more in there, right? Players want those. Yeah. Give a little Timmy another one.
Yeah, but I think what this ultimately goes back to is, I guess the crux of our discussion here is the secondary market is all created by the player base. It's us. We're all responsible for it in some way or another.
And John Moore.
Mainly John Moore. I would say him more so than others. But
I actually had a friend of mine that was talking about John the other day. He was like, man, I don't want to buy cards anymore because every time I get ready to like buy something, John makes a video and either makes it go up or down. I'm like, but that's because John's not like doing anything. He's just making people more educated.
Absolutely.
And like, yeah, he's kind of waving the invisible secondary market hand. He's like, hey, like, this is a good card. Like, why are these not bought up? And then someone's like, damn, that's a good idea. Nothing wrong with that. And then on the flip side, he's like, hey, like, these are going up in price. He's like, you better pick up yours. Like, the only thing he's doing is just helping things along.
See, I feel it's very much a double-edged sword because he's doing a very good thing for the community by helping people understand, A, how the secondary market works, but B, when cards are spiking, cards are dropping, things like that. But what happens as an adverse effect of his generosity of wanting to help the community is that if he says, oh, you should buy X card because it's cheap right now, so make sure you have your copies. These videos get like 15 to 20,000 views, and then everyone who watches that video is going to go buy a playset, if not more, if they're an investor, and they can completely buy the card out, which then shows it shows the duplicitous nature of the secondary market.
Well, once again, though, I mean, this comes down to you should be prepared for things. I won't talk shit on John. I'm happy that he does this, but once again, the only thing he's doing is educating people to do something. If once again you didn't buy your cards on week 1, like, you're already going to be salty that he's making the cards go up because he's trying to educate people. So like, he's going to get blamed for that. And then point number 3, like, you have the one guy that's got a lot of money. He's like, gimme, these are all mine now.
Exactly. I think the biggest rule of thumb when it comes to John's Market Watch videos is, and this isn't for every card, but for a majority of them, if you're watching the video and just discovering what he's talking about, you're too late.
Yeah, exactly. Unless you're, boom, right there ahead
unless you are like viewer number 6 and immediately go to whatever website you purchase cards from and buy them before everyone else does, that's like the rare exception. But like, take, again, Pot of Desires. John was talking about Pot of Desires and Dimensional Barrier and all these other cards for weeks.
Yep.
And then they just started creepily making their way up on the chart.
I do Market Watch every fucking Friday. And I've been watching Invocation. Invocation's dropped like $1 or $2 every week. It's a very good example. Same thing with Desires. Desires was the adverse effect, like you said. It was creeping up steadily. And like, you can tell, like, if you watch the secondary market, if you have enough time, or if you're just like tuning in, you're like, yeah, I wonder what this is worth today.
Or if you have no life like us.
Yeah, but like, you can see the rise and the fall of cards. Like, the information's available publicly. It's not like it's a disservice to you.
Yeah, because you can go on TCG Player and look at the history charts of cards. I think one of the best examples, look at Skullmeister. That card has more rises and falls than probably any other card I've ever seen. Because there's always a point where someone thinks, Skullmeister seems good this format, buy out, and then they're all gone, and it only has had one print. Well, it's had 2 printings technically, but only one set. and they're just gone. And then people are asking 20 to 30s on them. No one plays the card. There's a surplus, and then people are trying to get rid of them for 5.
Here's the thing, though, with Skullmeister. Skullmeister's been bought out so many times, though, that I don't think a lot of the populace has returned yet. I think a lot of them are sitting in people's basements. You know, some basement dwellers going, mine.
Well, people are just banking on another spike to happen and hoping they can dump theirs for at least something for what they paid for them, or to make a profit depending on how much they paid.
Oh, man. All right. Time to go back to the original topic of the video. Are you ready? And earlier we said Konami has no control of the secondary market. It's us. I think we've knocked this into the ground, but we can do a little bit more, because there's a few more examples to talk about here. Are you ready?
Go for it.
Don't shift your eyes. Ball's in your court.
Ball's in my court.
Okay, well,
You're getting me all up in suspense, and then you're like, "Oh, go ahead."
Okay, so let's be real. Back to the point we made earlier. See this? See this right here? This
That's
little
a booster box.
A little booster box, all right? Konami
All the buy of obedience.
Konami's like, all right, we're gonna print 4 ultras in here. Like what? 8 secrets or 8 supers, and we're gonna randomize the box. All right.
Yep.
You go to your locals. You spend $60. All right. What you pull in your RNG box is just that. Obviously, there are a few cards that might be short printed, but Konami doesn't tell you what Lull of Obedience is worth. You just know that you happen to pull 2 on your box. And you're like, like, this is a good card. You'd be like, you know what? I'd sell this card for $10. So you go sell it for $10. Another person might be trying to sell it for $20. Eventually, enough people are trying to sell a card that they're like, well, you know, it's not selling at 20, or the guy that sold his at 10 feels that he didn't make enough. Once again, this is all in the secondary market. This is all in the grand scheme of things. But once again, you can make the argument, everyone seems to, that Konami is indirectly influencing the market by short printing cards, things like that. But back to the same old argument, Konami's not telling you what to pay on these things, except for your booster box price.
A card is only worth what someone is willing to pay for it.
Yep, exactly. And you know what? If I want to play Zoo, I'm going to shove out the fucking $40 a barrage now.
But the thing about that rule is it doesn't go both ways. So just because someone's willing to pay X amount for a card doesn't mean that you can sell it for X price.
That goes for prize cards. Oh,
absolutely.
We're about to touch Pandora's box. So right now, Minerva just got...
You've dealt in prize cards, so you're definitely educated on this. I've never owned a prize card, just for context for the audience, but I mean, I follow the markets on them.
All right, we'll talk about a World's Prize card.
Okay.
All right, so I had one, the Emperor of Lightning. Paid $3,000 for it. All right, $3,000 was the number that I was like, you know what? I'm comfortable with having this card sit around for $3,000, and it's an investment for $3,000. $3,000 is a lot of money for a fucking piece of cardboard and a trophy. All right, you have to understand though. There's 8 of it. 6 of for the record.
Let's say around 10.
No, there'd be 6 in the world, because 2nd, 3rd, and 4th in the regular tournament, and then 2nd, 3rd, and 4th in the video game tournament.
And the video, okay,
so 6. So for a 1 of 6, $3,000 seemed fine. Now, if I'm going to resell it, I'm probably going to ask $3,000 for it. You know, I don't intend to sell it right away, but you have to remember, since its rarity is behind it, someone might pay that for it. Now, long since it is sold and, you know, $3,000 was too low. But that's because I didn't know what the person's asking price was. You just kind of shoot a price out there, and this is where the haggling aspect of it comes into play. Mm-hmm. You know, you don't get that, what is the word I'm looking for? That face-to-face confrontation on TCG Player. It's just a straight marketplace. You listed at this, there's no best offer option. It just sells. The difference between what we've said so far in this video and whatnot is, at least in IRL and like on eBay, you get the ability to submit your price and what you want to do. So if someone doesn't like your price, they can argue. Once again, free market, baby.
Mm-hmm.
And once again, though, Konami, going back to the booster box factor over here.
That's a $65 lottery ticket you're holding.
Yes. Oh man, fucking the magic masterpieces. You know, those lotto cards in every, like, what is it, 2 to 3 boxes?
Right.
see this? This is your lottery ticket. All right. If you don't want to open product, then you can go to the secondary market. But understand that by buying a booster box, you're contributing to organized play in America. That's something important to keep in mind. When you buy these from your locals or LGSs buy them from distributors, they're directly supporting organized play in America. The amount of product that people are buying is going towards the organized play fund. If people just fucking boycott shitty product, then we don't get organized play events.
Yeah.
I remember there was an old petition a long time ago where people were like, we're going to boycott Konami, we're not going to buy their product. And the next thing I see is, well, then you're going to have less events. If a product doesn't go over, well, obviously it's an indicator to Konami to fix their shit. But that's one less YCS. You know, that's one less regional that we could have.
Yeah.
So
because essentially by us purchasing the product, it's funding what's, for all intents and purposes, let's just say we're funding these events, because I know there's a lot more to it, but I mean,
it all goes in the advertising fund and
right.
shit like that.
Well, I'm saying because they obviously are greatly underwhelming in terms of prize support and how much they could be contributing back.
Yeah.
So that's I don't want to get into that. I'm just solely for this. Yeah.
That's another day, but but just remember, like, I know a lot of people, they're always joking about, like, why the fuck would I want to buy a booster box? Because you're getting a fucking YCS possibly in your area. Suck it the fuck up. You know, it's a global thing.
But not even that, though, too, because when when a set is first released, that $65 booster box could potentially have $120 worth of cards in it. Or, in the case of Phantom Darkness, let's say $350 worth of cards in it. So,
glass.
There's so many examples where, and it's mainly when a set is first released, that $65 you're choosing to gamble, because it is gambling, that you have the potential to actually, because of the secondary market, you actually have the opportunity to make money on your investment of, you know, the hobby that you play. So that's something that if we're in a fixed market and, you know, everything has a set value and everything is equal, you don't have the opportunity to do that. Now, I know more times often than not, you're not going to be getting your money's worth out of a booster box, because that's just how it is.
Whatever set had Lullaby, or actually it was the set that had Card of Demise in it. I pulled 4 Demise on one of these. Alright, like, this set's not a joking matter. Alright, I know it's not that one, but dude, that set was so lit to me. Like, see, like, and you know, if Konami told me my Card of Demises were only worth $10 a piece, well then fuck, I lost money. But, you know, they were 15, so I pulled $45.
Exactly.
Lottery.
And, you know, that's the thing. Card of Demise is another card that's been fluctuating lately. You know, it was like 30 to 40, and then it went down to 20, and then it spiked because of Paleo back up to 40, and now it's kind of back down. So, you know, it's a roller coaster. And if you're paying attention and, you know how to pick out some good investments when you see them, when cards are low, the rule of thumb, buy low, sell high, that works in Yu-Gi-Oh! Just as much as it does with anything else.
We're gonna wrap up this video with a very simple thought for you guys. The next time you blame card prices on Konami, remember that you're probably contributing to the so-called problem by spending $80 on that really shiny piece of cardboard that you need for your main deck, because Pot of Desires is broken.
I think where I want to end it on is, I know a lot of people do complain about the card prices, especially of secret rares of newest sets for the most part. But the biggest thing you need to remember is, especially if you want to play this game competitively, no one else at that event is going to be thinking that way, because they're going to get what they need to play the deck they want to play that they think is going to help them win. And if that means that every single other person in that event is going to have 3 Potted Desires or 3 D-Barrier or 3 of X secret rare, they're going to have it, and if you don't have it, that's on you.
I do want to throw in something else here. You're always welcome to try the jobber method of things. Jobber has a very strict mentality about playing at events. Pick up a deck before the event. Understand that you're going to be paying money, and this might only apply to people that have money. You have a credit card, you can be an adult, take care of your shit. Build the deck you want to play. Afterwards, sell the deck after the event.
Yep.
Nothing is stopping you from just taking a large amount of money, investing it, and then pulling out. Yeah, you might lose $50, $60, but at least you got the chance to play the event.
So, and just to add on that before we wrap things up as well, I want to shout out the RJB0 here really quick, and I'm probably going to link his video in my video so you guys can watch this as like a follow-up, because he did a whole video discussing exactly what you just said, Robbie, but he actually discusses that he doesn't consider that $50 to $60 you might lose as a loss, because he considers that for the opportunity to participate and play in a competitive event, as a competitive player, that has value to you, and from an economic standpoint, you got the opportunity to do something you wouldn't normally be able to do. So it's kind of like going to the movies. You're paying $10 to $15 for a movie ticket that you're not going to get back, and you spent 2 to 3 hours watching a movie and enjoying that form of media. It's the same thing, except just on a larger scale. You're paying $300 to $400 for a deck. You might only get $200 to $300 or $250 to $350 back when you sell it, but that cost that you lost isn't really money that you lost, because that's kind of your time that you spent actually playing with your cards that you invested in. So I definitely want to link that video for you guys, because it's a really good listen. You don't have to watch it. It's just you can have it on the background. It's like 10 minutes or so, but it's a really informative video in my view. I
definitely check that video out. This should have been common knowledge to a lot of people, you would have thought, but
yeah,
I mean,
you would think.
You don't. I've only seen a couple of people do this. It might happen only like 1 or 2 people in an event. Like, it just kind of happens.
I think it's because people get so fixated on the fact that, oh, I'm going to lose $50 to $100 if I do this.
You're playing Yu-Gi-Oh! You can lose a lot more than that.
I was gonna say, you have, if you're like me and Robbie and have a lot more invested into this game, you have way more to lose than if you just take one deck to an event and sell it immediately afterwards.
Dude, I have a box of like everything in the format sitting on the table. Like Invoked is in there, like ABCs, Paleos, and I'm like, man, when this shit gets fucked, I'm just out all this money. Like this, but like this is, you have to do it like that. You just don't care. That's the best way to do it.
Any type of hobby you're going to play, you need to pay some money in some form or another. For the most part, there's maybe a few exceptions. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is just another one, and depending on how you want to play it, you can either play it for the collection standpoint and hoard your cards and play with what you have, or you can buy a deck, play it, and sell it afterward, lose a little bit of money. Ultimately, however you want to play the game is up to you, and that's where I think we should end it.
Remember, guys, Barney brings up a really good point. Deuces, guys.